right now for coffee chat. And Rachel's going to be joining me pretty soon. She is in East Bay area, the Oakland Estuary this morning. She's rowing with East Bay Rowing Club and getting ready for Boats Without Barriers Regatta, which happens this weekend, which is the first year of that regatta, celebrating that everybody can row. So if you're just tuning in, go ahead and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's your rowing week going? So for me, my rowing week hasn't been going so well because I'm part of a sweep program that isn't too popular, I guess, this week. It's a busy week with weddings and parties and all of that. So here's Rachel.
Give me 1 second.
Sure. So if you're just joining us, this is Coffee Chat with Tara and Rachel. Rachel's in Oakland this week, doing some training for a regatta tomorrow. Let us know where you're tuning in from and how your rowing week is going. Hi, Rachel. How's it going?
Hi. Sorry, crazy morning. Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Tara?
What's up?
Well, I just got back from practice on the water with East Bay Rowing Club here in Oakland. And first time out to Oakland in over 20 years. And first time at the boathouse, obviously. It was very busy today. There were a ton of boats out on the water. Well, I should say a lot of boats launching from East Bay. Other than that, pretty quiet on the water. Then of course I thought I could sneak in a little trip to Starbucks between the boathouse and here. So that's why I'm just settling in.
Oh, gotcha. What did you row this morning?
This morning I went out in a women's 4. I rowed bow seat. I met 3 lovely women from East Bay who all told me they've been rowing for just about a couple of years, and they're a little newer to racing, and I'm excited to see what happens tomorrow on race day.
Wow. I'm not going to read too much in between the lines on that, but
no, yes, you can definitely read between the lines. So
yeah, having rowed a lot of 4s. Okay.
And I
see you, and I hear you.
There's a lot going on in the brain. I tried really hard to take off my Coxing hat and my coach's hat. And then they wanted some feedback from me, and it's hard. I wanted to be the guest, and I didn't want to be annoying about anything. So hopefully the couple of comments that I had were helpful, not detrimental to the boat. And I'm looking at it like this. I have not really been rowing this season. I haven't raced since last season. This is an opportunity for me to get in a boat in California and participate in an awesome regatta tomorrow. And, we'll see how it goes, and hopefully we all at least have a good time.
I think you will. I've been that person in that boat before, and it's just, I think if you just over generous with the positivity, it's fun. So if you've had that experience going to a boathouse and you're kind of the more experienced person and the novices all are excited to have you there or whatever, and people are asking you, it's a unique experience for sure, especially if you're a coach. Even this happens to experienced rowers too.
Yeah.
You go to a new boathouse, and you're not going to get put in the top boat.
Definitely not going to be put in the top boat.
You're not going to show up with your credentials and be like, no, they're going to put you in a safe boat.
And truth be told, I mean, I just showed up, and so I don't deserve to be in one of their top boats. And
it sounds like they're very competitive too, that top boat.
Yeah. And there's always something for me to work on. So, I got in the boat today and I was like, let's see what their stroke is, because everybody's a little different. So, I didn't have 100% amazing strokes today. There's stuff to work on always. But hey, Stephanie McFadden is here, who
Oh,
is the vice president of EBRC and been an amazing host so
train?
far. She gave me a quick little lift to practice and back, and I made it to Starbucks. Thank you, Stephanie. And Sophie Grant is with us. So thank you both for being here. So nice to see you.
Is that a train in the background?
Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, there's a train. There are train tracks about a block and a half from here, which in my mind, when I booked this hotel, I was like, it's going to be fine. It's basically fine. But yes, it's right there.
Wow, that's an amenity there.
But I picked this spot because this hotel is right on the water and I splurged a little bit. I don't normally when I travel, but there's cool little restaurants. It's right on the water, and I thought for one night I'm gonna do this. So, and the room is ginormous that I'm staying in. But anyway, yes, but I am always curious about other people's experiences when they guest row. I know Tara, you've done it a bunch, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I guest row a lot, and as soon as I can find a boathouse, wherever I go, as long as
Yeah.
it's not sculling. If it's sweep, I'm in. If they're not getting ready, like if they're not a week out from a head race,
Yeah.
like if they're a week out from a head race, I'm doing a ride along. If they're like, I'm not gonna get in that way. And sometimes I've been put in the top boat just because they think like, oh, and I'm always, always, always impressed with the level of skill everywhere I go. There's some 2 or 3 people who are just fucking badass.
Yeah.
Like they're like what I imagine Denise Martini is like to row with. Just
Yeah. Oh, I
like,
didn't see her this morning.
crush
Mhm.
you with her quads kind of. you know, she just looks at you and you quiver. I love guest rowing. If you've had a positive experience guest rowing, let us know. I think it's a fun topic actually, because
Yeah.
who was it that was telling us Kuhn Elbers, he was talking a lot about guest rowing. Uh,
Yeah, that
coming
his
to Amsterdam or coming to Holland.
yeah, where he is, a lot of folks come and they do like not just guest row for a regular practice, but then where they are, they do like canal, like long distance canal rows. And I think that would be amazing to do. But
Yes.
you know what, Tara?
What's up?
This row this morning was my very first guest row at another club
Ever?
ever. Can you believe that?
Whoa.
In all my years rowing, I've never gone somewhere else and gotten in a boat with anybody. So I was like, I showed up and I was like, I don't know what to do. And everybody was very nice and showed me where to go and what boat and all that.
Did you have
Um,
to sign a bunch of paperwork?
I didn't sign any paperwork.
Mm.
EBRC. No, I didn't sign any paperwork. I just got in a boat and I went and we were all good. But that's a good point, Tara. I mean, in terms of liability, I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm
Have you
like,
ever?
you didn't have that coach hat on, did you?
I totally didn't have that coach hat on today. Have you had to sign waivers when you've guest
Um,
served?
yeah, typically you do.
Yeah.
What's nice to do is, maybe we should do a little how to, like how to guest row,
Mhm.
because there's a couple things. Some roadhouses will be like, and here's your packet of paperwork and your safety handbook and your waiver, and we need a float test,
Mhm.
or a copy of your float test. So it's just a good idea as a rower, when you do your float test, please tell me everybody's doing float tests. Oh God, really? Oh God. All right, fine. Okay, so float test, if you don't know what it is you go to a pool and you tread water for 9 minutes, and then they throw you a life jacket and you have to put it on unassisted. If you're an adaptive rower, you can do a deep water float test, which is you wear a float jacket in deep water for 10 minutes, and that just means you have to wear a PFD when you row. And then there's also the option of not doing a float test and you wear a PFD. on water.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, wait, the second one is the deep water flow test is you carry a PFD on board. The third one is you have to wear it. So anyway, but if you have a flow test and if you have your US rowing card or number or whatever, it's just a good idea to take those with you when you travel, just like having your passport, because then you can walk into any boathouse. I love walking into any boathouse. And I actually used to tell my Learn to Row students that my goal for them was that they could walk into any boathouse in the world and know
Mhm.
what equipment was what. So
Yeah,
if someone said, go get the blue sculling blades or whatever, they would be like, okay, and they would have some clear idea of what to do. They knew port, starboard, and how to carry
yeah.
a boat.
I
But
like the idea of a rowing passport. I
yeah,
don't I don't know who would be in charge of, like, what organization would lead the charge in creating that, but I wanna design one. I wanna design one and just that would be I'm sorry, I'm brainstorming now about, like, who would use that and what that would get you, like, when you walk in the door at a boathouse and
right. And there's a lot of boathouses that have like guest row programs. So a lot of
Mhm,
boathouses that get asked so much that they have a program to guest row.
mhm.
I'm trying to think of one that I've seen. There's a few out there that you go to their website. You could actually just Google guest rowing, and see what comes up. There was a directory being made at some point. If you search on Masters Rowers Rowing International, there was a directory of boat houses that were open to visitors
Hmm,
at one point.
mhm.
Somebody's talked about this at length, and I've heard this conversation a lot because there's always a discussion like, "Hey, I'm going to Portugal. Where should I row?"
Yeah,
And people are like, "Oh, the people at this boathouse are really nice, and this is a great boathouse, and this and that." And they always are like, "And I'm a sweep rower, and I like, this and that." They wouldn't let you go out alone.
yeah,
Like 100%, you're not gonna get to row in a single. All right, maybe 99%, you're not gonna get to row in a single at a guest row, but you could do a double. Or I've been in eights a lot, but it always feels weird if you're taking the spot, of somebody
definitely.
in an 8.
Yeah,
Double, you're like, "I'm just over here." Like, don't and then it's like you got a free little tour guide, in your bow.
yeah.
Mm.
Um, just for the folks that might be watching later or folks who are with us, the reason I am out in Oakland is because I'm going to be rowing in Boats Without Barriers regatta tomorrow, along with, well, I came here along with three other rowers from DC Strokes Rowing Club, and we are supporting East Bay Rowing Club in their inaugural Boats Without Barriers regatta happening tomorrow. And I'm getting excited for it. We were able to put together enough composite boats that all of us from DC Strokes are rowing twice tomorrow. And that was just huge for me that East Bay stepped up like that and said, yes, we want you to be here and please get in boats with us. And, well, who knows? We're just going to go out tomorrow and see what happens and have a good time. The other fun thing is that it turns out that everybody from DC Strokes, and maybe this is part of the reason why they could all kind of swing coming, is that we all have family out here. So I'm going to get to meet my rowers' families over the next couple of days, which I think is really lovely because that doesn't normally happen.
Well, that's cool. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I think I'm going to meet some parents, some aunts and uncles, some siblings. And then I have a cousin and her husband who live out here who I hadn't actually touched base with because I was so stinking busy. And very long story short is that it is my cousin's 70th birthday weekend. And some of our other cousins are here this weekend in Oakland and San Francisco. And I think I'm going to get to see all of them while I'm here.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's all working out.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah.
totally crazy.
Yeah. So
What,
we're gonna have a cheering squad. I wasn't even prepared for, but we're gonna have a cheering squad.
so, tell everybody what Boats Without Barriers is.
Yeah, so Boats Without Barriers is a regatta that East Bay Rowing Club put together this year in response to nationals being held in Sarasota, Florida. East Bay Rowing Club, once they heard that nationals was going to be in Florida, chose to boycott the event. And they have been in direct contact with U.S. Rowing about the choices that U.S. Rowing made and what U.S. Rowing could do better. And they've had really good conversations there, and actually are really pleased with the response from U.S. Rowing. But they continued to boycott, and instead of going to Sarasota for nationals, developed Boats Without Barriers, a brand new regatta that they're calling an all-inclusive event. And they're saying out in the bay, which I really like. And if all goes well, this weekend they're hoping to put it on their regular regatta schedule in years to come. So hopefully it'll just get bigger and better and get more attention and attendance. And so for DC Strokes, it was really important to be here because we were also boycotting Masters Nationals, which now has come and gone. And we just love the idea of supporting EBRC in their drive to create a better, more inclusive rowing community. This is a perfect place for us to be this weekend.
Yeah, definitely. Hi, Denise Martini. She's here today.
Hey,
So we have with us Denise Martini, who is currently the board president of East Bay Rowing Club, and Denise, along with Carla Jordan and Aaron Cafaro, all joined us in our recording, and that podcast comes out tonight to our Patreons and tomorrow morning to the world. And it's a really fun episode. It talks about their rowing origin stories, what it's like to row at EBRC, how it got started, and what's their mission and values at that boathouse. It's a really fun episode. It comes out tomorrow.
Yeah, and we had also, as a part of that conversation, was Carla Jordan, who is a comp rower. I think she has a couple different hats here, but she talked with us wearing her hat as DEI committee co-chair. And I met her this morning face to face as well and got a hug from Carla, so that was awesome.
Is she nice?
Of course, everybody was so nice, Tara. Actually, everybody was super cheery. Remember, we were talking with them about that, like how some boathouses you walk in the door in the morning and people are like,
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so we talked in the episode about how new people are welcomed at the boathouse. Did you feel welcomed?
I did feel welcomed. I do this thing. So I'm a pretty outgoing person, but in a brand new situation like that, I try to just be a wallflower. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't want to be big and annoying and be like, I'm here, So I was trying to be a wallflower for a few minutes, but yes, people were welcoming, even more welcoming after 5 or 10 minutes of warming up and saying our hellos. And then I was, I thought it was really sweet that Stephanie at the end of practice made sure that I came into the group of the competitive women and said hi. And everybody knew about Steady State podcast. She talked about the podcast and the episode coming up tomorrow.
Did you find anybody at eye level?
Did I find anybody at eye level? Like people my height, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yay!
Not close to my eye level. There were the Coxings, and then there was a couple people taller. And we went out with a coach today whose name I didn't quite catch, but she's quite tall. So I was,
Yeah. Sweet.
And we had to get a boat off of over an overhead rack, and I was a little too short to make that happen. So somebody stepped in and helped out.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
So just kind of as a wrap up, I don't know if we have a lot to talk about this, but Masters Nationals has wrapped up. I saw that some people went. I saw some people won medals. I saw photos on social media. Something that you and I had talked about was how many people are going to go to nationals this year, right? With the heat and the boycott, who's going to be there?
Right.
And Tom Rooks, the head of safety there at US Rowing, kind of gave me a clue a couple weeks ago. And he said, I think numbers are looking pretty low. I didn't know what that really meant. And then our friend Martha Logan.
Martha Logan?
Yeah. shows this she posted a
I think this
photo
is
of yes, of Catalyst Rowing Fitness, posted a photo. She won a medal in every event. Apparently, you could row 7 events this
we
year?
saw someone do a 7, yeah.
7. Didn't it used to be 5, or am I making that up?
It used to be 5, yeah.
Yeah, and Tom told me that that was a whole discussion this year about whether or not to allow people to row more events, and he actually was like, "We shouldn't allow people to row more,"
Not in that heat, good lord, come on.
but apparently 7 events was a max this year. There were so few entrants that it was like straight to finals. So it was just, you weren't rowing as much as you may have in a normal year. With heats, semifinals, and finals, it was just like heat straight to final. Um, but I thought it was interesting that Martha just came right out and she was like, the only reason I got, not the only reason, but she was like, one reason I got all these medals because there were so few participants this year.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting.
Well, it's really a bold statement because there are people also posting on social media that they're the number 1 in the country,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
have to, come on, like,
This year,
this year,
we're number 1
of
in
the
the
people
country.
who showed up,
Yeah.
you are the best.
Mhm.
But to say that you're the national champion, I'm not sure that it's the best representation of the field. So, congrats to everybody for racing hard. That's awesome. And let's try to get Masters Nationals moved,
Moved
to
for next
a more
year, yeah.
tolerant state.
Yeah, I don't know, they've got a contract for another year in Sarasota, so,
Well,
I don't know.
well, then we have a year to make Boats Without Barriers a giant
Ex
regatta.
Yeah, exactly. Just shift 1,000 people from nationals over to Boats Without Barriers in
Why
Oakland.
not? Well, we're used to hosting it in Oakland anyway.
Mhm, mhm.
People have their hotels and their Airbnbs, so.
So speaking of temperatures, right, so everyone was like, "It's so hot in Sarasota," which actually I didn't hear anybody in the end complaining about that. I didn't hear a peep about it, but, I I guess I shouldn't be surprised. I knew that the weather would be nice here, but it was like 57 degrees or something when I got up this morning, and it was a little brisk to get out there on the water this morning. Nice. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt for the first time in months
Well, you're in the Bay.
in the
The
Bay.
Bay the Bay Area is always cold. It's like
Yeah,
Seattle. The Bay
yeah.
Area is just like Seattle. Well, it's thunderstorming and raining here, and yesterday we had one of the muggiest days. It was muggy, which is not Northwest weather.
Yeah.
It was just it reminded me of the South, it was really yucky,
Mhm.
but, I woke up to thunder and lightning this morning, and that's also unusual, but
Yeah.
first
Hey,
thing I think of is what's in the back of my pickup truck.
oh, I know. What's in the back of my truck? Are my windows closed? Hey,
Yeah.
Tara, I would like to ask this question, which we like to do every week. On a scale of 1 to 10, how is your rowing week going? 1 is lousy, 10 is amazing. Let us know. And if it was great, why? If it was lousy, why? What could make it better? Tara, how about your rowing week?
It was a
Oh,
0
sweet.
because, um, just stress over, a couple of other, seize the oar related things, and then, um, my sweep team was super organized and super motivated to go out 3 days a week with a coxswain, and all of a sudden this week, like, no one could come and no one signed up,
Mm,
and it just kind of fell apart, and, I understand weddings and birthdays and stuff, but it's
that's
kinda
hard.
it's the last week before school, there's 2 weeks and then school goes back, so it was a little disappointing because, these are the folks who are all like, we wanna race," and just so everybody knows, I row at a very small club, and the only way that sweep rowing can happen with a coxswain is if it's, like, organized.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just people show up and are like, "I'm good to sweep, like, I can sweep." It has to be really, focused. Sophie, 7, training for the Charles. I hope our connections were successful with Ellen and Beth to get you set up with a boat. I hope.
Whoa. Oh, Martha is here, and we were talking about Martha and her medal. Uh-oh. But Sophie, I know we say this every time we see you. I'm so glad that you're going to be in Boston, and Tara and I are going to be in Boston, and we are talking about our plans for the few days that we're there, and we're really hoping to meet up with you and everybody in Boston. So stay tuned. We've got some ideas brewing.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're having a 7 rowing week. That's fantastic.
And I'm
And
curious, Sophie, who you're doing your event with, because I think you're rowing a double, right? So let us know. And yes, Martha, absolutely. Wins are wins. There's no denying that. And congrats for all of that. Pairs race, lucky. Hi, I love a pairs race. And Martha, you are going to Boston? Yes, I think you are.
I'm just reading Martha. So Martha's got this great comment, basically saying, like, you work hard, you put in the effort, and you win medals. And I totally agree. We can have this conversation about, was it the cream of the crop there this year? And if it wasn't, the people that won, did they deserve it? I've said this before, even just within the last week or two. Like, if you show up and you've put in the effort and you win the medals, you totally deserve it. And I know how hard you work, Martha. So I'm so glad that you were there and you walked away with a lot of clinkage, as we like to call it, clinkage, a lot of medals. That's awesome.
Hardware. And Larissa's here, who coxed the Charles men's boat this morning. That's awesome.
Ooh.
Larissa is in Columbus, GCRA, Greater Columbus. And like Rachel said, we are rowing in a mixed 8 in Boston on Sunday, but Saturday, I know we're planning a lot of Instagram lives and meetups and things because we are not racing on Saturday or practicing. So if you'd like to find us, stay tuned on social media. We'll likely be at Concept 2 tent and at Wintex tent and just hanging out.
I'm just hanging out. And I'm looking forward to it. I've really just been feeling the last couple of years, probably even more so because of Steady State Network and how engaged we are with the rowing community. But when I go out and about now to regattas, I'm feeling super confident talking with folks and realizing like it's just one giant network of people and just start talking about rowing and you're going to make a new friend at a regatta. So um,
Totally,
I'm
totally.
really looking forward to Boston. And Boston's another one of those places. I've got some family there and I'm looking forward to seeing them. They're probably sick of me every year being like, it's time for Head of the Charles. Come
Like
on
that
now.
Rachel, she comes in, blows in here, and then we don't see her for 3 days, and she
Yeah.
shows up at 9
I'm
o'clock
like, can
at
I
night.
stay at your place? Thanks. Yeah, that's what it is every October. Nice to see you for a day and a half. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's gonna be a fun trip, and we'd love to know if you're going, so let us know if you're getting ready for Boston. Martha said, yep, she's gonna go. Sophie's going. Is EBRC going to Boston?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. That's a big haul. But to get across the country, I do not know. Stephanie says, oh no, she's got her week is an 8. Excited for our first regatta on the estuary. But
Oh,
yes, Stephanie, for sure, they're going to Boston. Oh, that's cool. Excellent.
awesome. Even more the merrier. That's awesome.
So Tara, I've noticed lately I say excellent a lot. I don't know if you've caught that at all, but I've been saying it a ton when I coach. And I mean it when I coach, but I'm starting to wonder if it's starting to sound disingenuous because I say it so much.
Yeah, you might want to mix it up. Maybe have a little cue card in the coach's boat with you.
With a list of things.
Awesome,
Yeah.
sweet,
Mhm.
nice.
Yeah.
Remember what Erin Cafaro said for her favorite Coxing command was all Mary Whipple had to say was yes. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
that's like my favorite coxswain command to say is there it is.
Mhm.
That tells them that the rowers have done whatever they need to do to take an amazing stroke. There it is. And just
Yeah.
lay it on the table for them. But yeah, Aaron Cafaro's favorite Mary Whippleism, right? Mary Whipple says,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's
I would
that.
yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Um
Hey,
Yep.
Michael Tutloff is with us from Chicago.
Hello. Men's
Hi.
Club 8 on Saturday. Oh, he's
Mhm.
rowing Men's Club 8. All right, well, we'll be cheering from you from some bridge. We'll
From
have
our
we'll get the big printed out booklet schedule and we'll mark it up of where our people are.
yeah,
So yeah, if you're racing in the Charles and you know what event number you are, go ahead and tell us when you figure it out, and maybe we'll do a little poll or something on Facebook.
yeah, but we've been talking about maybe doing, like, a walk down the entire course, and, we'll just stop on bridges and scream our heads off for people as they
We should
pass
make a
under.
sign.
We should.
Oh, the only the coxswain would see it. So
Yeah, even that but that's fun. As a coxswain and a bow loader, I have loved that in the past. So
oh yeah,
you're laying there and you're looking up and you can see everybody on the, bridges, and you can see them waving and whatever. I don't know if I've ever read any signs, but it is a cool perspective in a bow loader.
I'm
Um,
sure. I'm sure. I've
awesome.
only seen it from the 8, from
Yeah,
backward,
yeah,
going backwards through it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What else is going on in the rowing world or our rowing worlds right now? We've talked about Boats Without Barriers and Masters Nationals and practices falling apart because people will lose their commitment levels. We're
I'm curious for the
moving into
Masters. Huh?
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was just curious for the Masters Nationals folks, um, what the vibe was like, because they said they were gonna make it all very, like, gay friendly, gay inclusive, or they made all these statements. So I'm just wondering, did they have vendors or tents or signage about, this is a safe place?
Yeah.
I'm just wondering from Masters Nationals folks if that was prevalent because they said they were gonna do that. Um, that would be kind of speaking to DC Stroke's concerns and speaking to the boycott's concerns. So,
Mhm,
if you have a report or any photos you want to share of that kind of thing, if there were pride flags or signage about respect or signage
mhm.
about people being welcome.
Yeah,
Um,
that would be interesting if they did that. Remember last year at nationals, we were still kind of in the thick of COVID, but people were starting to make their way out and venture out, and US Rowing didn't have any signage about COVID at nationals last year.
it
They weren't
was
handing out
so weird.
masks, no hand sanitizer, nothing about social distancing. I mean, this is,
Nothing.
like, very different than LGBTQ inclusion, but same
True.
sort of thing. It's a big overarching thing that's like elephant in the room. It would have been interesting if they had any sort of, I don't know, discussion about it this year at nationals. Yeah. I don't know. I saw one photo from Capital Rowing Club, I think a women's quad, and they all wore their JL Pride unis with rainbow socks, and they were pretty loud and proud that day.
Oh,
Um,
that's cool.
yeah. Um,
But I just wonder, they made such a big stink about how they were going to have partner with the Trevor Project and partner and make it a safe space. So I just wonder what they actually did, because that was shocking last year at Masters Nationals. Not one sign, not one canister of hand sanitizer, not one social distancing or masking recommendation. It was like it didn't exist. It was really weird. But you and I wore masks last.
we did. We wore a lot of masks, I think, when we were in our vendor tent and in close proximity with a lot of folks. Yeah.
Is there
Yeah.
any masks at EBRC?
I saw a couple people in masks, and I was actually really surprised. I don't know why I was surprised, but it feels a lot like DC here in terms of kind of like level of concern. I got off the plane yesterday, got out of the airport, and there are people still wearing masks. There were masks being worn in the BART transportation and a few other places. But at the boathouse this morning, a couple of people, when we weren't in boats, I did see in masks. I think it's at this point everybody's comfort level, but yeah, I just hope that everybody's generally still thinking about it at least and trying to remain healthy and safe.
Sure, and as far as like other people's choices, like just respecting each other's choices.
Yeah.
Martha had some interesting things to say. She said there was a rainbow flag at the start that said "You belong." That said, coverage and live commentary was amazing to have, but oh my God, some really
Mhm.
ignorant and insensitive comments along the way. Competitors brought it, like you said, capital, the grassrootsy part of it all.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Well,
Interesting.
people that I mean, their commentary, if you saw the youth nationals commentary, there was the kerfuffle problem issue with
The N word. That
the N word
people
being
thought.
said
Yeah.
um, allegedly on the air. We never really solved that. I don't know
Yeah.
where that landed, but
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I did talk to Tom Rooks from US Rowing about that recently, and he 100% doesn't think that. I can't even think of the commentator's name. He doesn't think that he said it. It's like totally out of context. But what I told Tom was I was disappointed because mm, even in US Rowing's response to it, not an apology, but a response, there wasn't a clarification of what he did say in that moment. There wasn't a he didn't say the N word, but he said this, and nobody could just kind of play the tape back and give us a transcript, and so that was disappointing. Um, but man, I do in a way feel kind of bad for U.S. rowing right now because everybody's everybody is hyper aware and everybody has their 2 cents, and it makes it super easy on social media to tell them how they feel, and so, right now, no matter what US Rowing does, I don't think it's gonna be good enough for a lot of people.
well, and I think the issue is now, they've gotten themselves into these town halls,
Mhm,
they keep trying to find out, and I think they're just I don't know what the stoppage is. Like,
mhm,
why does it seem here's the question. Why does it seem so obvious to everyone in my circle and in my surroundings of what they should be focused on and what they should be doing, and it's not obvious to them?
mhm,
Like, it's hard because obviously I'm not right. I mean, I don't know what's going on. I noticed that they have lack of resources. They have a lot of turnover. Their staffing is really inconsistent. They keep hiring and creating new positions for things, and then they sort of throw people at things.
mhm,
They've created these communications people's
mhm,
positions, Jenny Treyes and this other gal that was on the Title IX roundtable.
mhm,
Um, and I was like, wait a second, um, where did this position come from? And
mhm,
I never saw it advertised. I never saw a job announcement for an inclusion manager or a job announcement for a brand or consult or brand communications person or anything. So it just feels like more hiring from within
mhm.
and, you know, I don't know. So
So
Martha
I like
says,
can I
old
comment?
ladies?
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's interesting, and just as an aside, the other day do you guys know what pickleball is? Tara, do you know what pickleball is?
Yeah, I'm just yeah.
Yeah. So this does connect, I promise it connects. So apparently now there are pickleball championships, and I was watching the first ever pickleball championship on TV the other day. I don't know why, because it was on and it was a Sunday. And there was a women's, doubles championship, and one of the teams was a mother-daughter pair. So the daughter was like 19. I'm assuming the mother was at least 40, and they ended up winning. And they were presented with a trophy at the end in like a professional, nice way. They were presented with this trophy, and the gentleman who presented them with the trophy called them girls. I was like, dude, nope, you're out of here. Like, I totally lost respect for him in that moment. They're not girls, they're professional players. There's a mom that you're talking to right now. She is not a girl. So, how do we talk to the men in leadership position in sports and get them to understand how important language is?
We take it away.
We
We
take
take it away.
charge.
No, we take it away. You don't
Yeah.
get to do that anymore. You
Yeah.
don't get to hear anymore. So Martha's saying that they said, I don't even know what lightweight is for women because as a heavyweight collegiate man, I didn't have to worry about that. I just dated them.
Well, A, that's awful. B, it's your job to be a commentator, know what you're talking about. Like, that's bullshit.
Martha,
How do you show up to work and not know what you're talking about? That's
Martha, if
crazy.
you're willing to give up the name of that person, we would like to have them on the podcast.
Yeah. Ugh, it's
Oh,
hard.
yeah.
I can imagine you're sitting there at a table with your microphone and you forget that people are really listening and you think that you're just having a chat with your buddy there in the broadcast booth.
Which is old boy, sit around, circle
Yeah.
jerk way of talking. I'm sorry. It is just a verbal circle jerk. It's
Yeah.
just like, "Oh, hey, brother, what are you doing? Oh, hey, brother." Oh my god, makes me to be
Yeah.
fair, those particular commentators weren't on duty after day 1. I
Yeah.
wonder why.
Oh, man. Um,
Seriously, guys, like, I mean, we're making strides in trying to not refer to everybody as guys, "Hey,
oh,
guys."
yeah, I
I
do
try
that
all
all
the
the
time. I have a lot of non-binary clients, a lot of gender transitioning clients, in my barbershop, and it's hard. I mean, I consider myself somewhat woke, and I still am like called a kid, Little Miss yesterday as a cute reference, and
Uh-huh.
they're non-binary, and they were getting it, I'm just like, "Oh god, I
Yeah.
can't," you know?
It's gonna take me a while. I'm really working on hard on not saying, "Hey, you guys," but
Yeah.
literally, I've been saying that since I was a little kid. I used to call my brothers to dinner by saying, "Hey, you guys, dinner."
Yes,
So
but
I can't shake it.
well, and the other thing that I've noticed, is that there's a new way of speaking, um, where you just refer to everyone as they. You don't
Yeah.
use she, he pronouns anymore to anyone. I've heard parents refer to me as they, them. "Oh,
Sorry.
look at what they're doing. Look at what they're talking about,"
Mhm.
or how, questions. And it's kind of a nice way to do it because you don't have to think about it, you know?
Yeah,
You just
just say they.
stop.
Yeah.
And when people ask me what my pronouns are, I just say use my name.
Yeah.
I don't I don't I'm not gonna do a they, them or a she, her, he, him or anything. It's just use my name.
Mhm.
And I kinda love that. Okay, so Michael Tutloff from Chicago said, "That's what they've always done. At Grand Rapids back in 2016, they actually said, 'Wow, those broads are really fast.'
Mhm.
Might as well call them dames with some good gams. I
Yeah.
mean, look at those gams on those gams."
Yeah.
I
What
actually you know what? Rachel and I, we joked about, auditioning for being commentators at World Rowing, remember? We joked about that. I think
It's not even a joke. I think that we should do it. I think we have the chops to do it and hopefully the wherewithal to do it well.
so. Here's why we would make a great commentating team, is that Rachel would spend 14,000 hours doing research and talking points and like a media kit on the whole event, right? Like, here's how you pronounce their names. Here's what year their club was founded. She would just be bananas for it. And and I tend to just I love that because I can just riff off of that and just be like, more of a color commentating.
Yeah.
Rachel's like, and now we have Michael Tudloff from Chicago Rowing. And Michael, here's an
Yeah.
interesting factoid about Michael. We would make a great team, I think. If you
You
want us
know,
to do that next year at Masters Nationals,
yeah. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect. Like, I'm pretty sure something would slip that I'd be like, oh, I can't believe I just said that. But I'm trying to think of something that would be comparable about
y'all. I've
like
heard you
instead
guys
like
y'all.
well, like okay, so let's say like we get annoyed when women are called ladies or girls or broads. What would something comparable be if we were talking about men in the boat, right? Like we talk about the men, we talk about like you might say dude, but I'm trying to think of a pejorative term for men that might slip out while you're commenting on a race. And like off the top of my head, I can't even think of one.
See, that's why, because there really isn't one.
We
And
would
that's
never say, "Look at those boys," right? If it's a boat full of men, you'd
Oh,
never
but they
say
would love
boys,
that if you called them boys, especially
boys.
if they were older masters men. Oh, you
What I
should,
what I
just
do hear is gentlemen, I hear gentlemen, which
okay, okay. Here's a
I
question. Martha, did you row a single at Masters Nationals? Did they do the poll at the beginning of that where they call you Miss Logan, Miss
oh, Ms. Yeah.
Rachel Miss Friedman? Did they do that when if you lined up for singles? Because they do that with Mr. and Ms. on singles lines.
That's a good point too. Yeah.
And one of the things we talked about in a boathouse is saying y'all instead of or you all,
Y'all.
or everybody,
If you're from upstate New York, it's yins, YINZ.
Oh yeah, yins,
Yin.
yeah. And then you instead of saying the women's eight or that day, you're like you name the boat that they're in,
Yeah.
not don't say the women's eight, just say the because I'm having this at Vashon every single practice. Oh, the women's eight, the women's eight, the women's eight, the women's eight, the women's eight. And I'm like, and you ladies, and all this very gendered language. And
Yeah.
it stands out.
Mhm.
I'm not a fan. It's just I think it's bad practice. I'm not personally offended by it. I don't identify like that, but I'm not personally offended by it. It's just you can do better. Like
Mhm.
calling us ladies.
Yeah.
Like I haven't been ladylike ever in my life. So I don't really, that's what I think of when I think of ladies, like
Uh-huh. Yeah.
cross your legs and please and thank you and being demure and
Yeah.
things. But
Oh, man. Hey, Tara, I
uh,
just noticed we've been talking for 45 minutes. Do you need to go? Usually you've gotta run.
what day is today?
It's a Friday.
Uh,
Not
uh,
that I want you to go. I just realized, we usually wrap up in about 30 minutes, but I'm glad that
yeah,
we've got
no, I've got some room. This morning I'm charging up my tools and I've got a busy day starting at 10. So
charging up the tools. I like that. I
using up
like
the tools.
that.
Yeah. Yesterday I did a haircut of a 3-year-old and the dad brought him. And the whole time the dad and the grandma were like, oh, I don't know what mom's gonna say about this.
Mhm.
Kid's mom.
Mhm.
I was like, and they kept saying it. I'm like, what is this gonna be a problem? Like, I don't want my name associated with this. Like, don't pull me into this drama.
Yeah.
Apparently, she's from Taiwan, and a lot of Asian culture, cutting the hair, the birth hair, is a big deal. So
It
I
was
was
his
like,
first haircut?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. We
Hmm.
just arranged it by text. Usually I have a form that they fill out when they
Yeah.
book it online that says, "Is this their first haircut?"
Mm.
Because I need to know. Um, Interestingly enough, I did do 3 first haircuts this week. One of a toddler, right, which is typical. One of a 9-year-old who had hair down to her butt, and then one of an 85-year-old who had never had her hair professionally cut.
Oh, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
We did it on her porch, and she had this incredible bird area where she was feeding all these birds, and she was just naming off all the birds and like
Yeah.
I was like in a bird sanctuary or something. Martha, that is shocking that they pulled doubles races that
Mm.
still that way.
Mhm.
I might ask. I know we're talking about having a referee on. We haven't had a referee on in a while. We had
Wow.
Rachel Lemieux last summer. We might find if you had a favorite referee, let us know. There's some fun ones. There's some really good ones. Rachel's Lemieux is one of my favorites. She travels
Yeah.
all over.
Yeah, I've kind of wanted to talk to there's a ref, out in DC that I know, his name is Doug, and I honestly don't know if he rode before becoming a ref. I don't know how he kinda got into it, but he's always the head ref at Stonewall Regatta,
Oh,
and he seems like a really nice guy, so maybe we give him a call and, get his perspective on
yeah.
wrestling.
Yeah, this is a busy time for them. I would love to talk to a ref, especially a
Mhm.
head ref, because head refs have a whole other slew of responsibilities
Yeah.
when they do their umpiring. And then I have a feeling when I've heard people's umpire stories of how they become an umpire, they're typically husbands of rowers or
Mhm.
spouses of rowers or family members of rowers
Mm.
who wanted to go to regattas but were bored out of their minds and wanted something to do or thought it was interesting or just are kind of that kind of mindset. So
Yeah.
anyway, this has been lovely. What's next for you today?
Uh, Next for me today is probably to have some breakfast, and I have to check out of the hotel in a couple of hours. But I'm going to get together with my teammate James, who's coming into town by. He flew in to Sacramento, I think, to be with family, taking the train into town, and we're going to check out Oakland today. Um, I don't normally do this before a regatta, but there's this amazing looking teeny tiny place to get beers not too far from where I am. There are signs that say that it's been there since 1883, and it's this little tiny shack. And I really want to go there for a beer today.
Well, I thought you were gonna say you were gonna try like, you know, sushi or something like.
Oh no, nothing,
No,
nothing crazy like that.
no, no, no. Like
No,
there's regatta rules. Like
yeah, no.
no
Tonight,
no new stuff.
no, tonight, actually, I think what's really great is that East Bay Rowing Club is hosting a pre-regatta pasta dinner
Yeah, I love it when
out.
boathouses do that.
Yeah, outdoors at a marina, in Alameda, so right across the water, and I think everybody from Strokes is going, and it'll give us a chance to hang out and meet, and actually talk with, people from the team and get to know
You
them
know,
a little better.
I think you and I know we keep adding races to our calendar, but I think you and I should go to the Crew Classic next year because
Ooh.
Slack hosts a dinner
Mhm.
the night before, and it's such a blast there. It's
Yeah.
such a blast. Oh my god, we could just do our own commentary. Like, we could just have our own commentary booth. People
Oh,
could just, like, tune in
actually,
to watch us. Like, okay, so you have a split screen, right? And we'll
yeah.
have, like, the live stream on one half. But so imagine we do this. We do a StreamYard, right?
Yeah.
And one half of the screen is the live stream, and the other half is you and I sitting together being like,
You kn
"Girl, we saw that. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, walk, baby, walk."
Yeah. I
Right?
actually kind of love this idea of an alternative race coverage. I mean, who's to say that US rowing is the only, like, the
We
end all be all of race coverage?
literally, we bring a Wi-Fi booster in case it's crap, and we
Yeah.
sit there and we like or we each have a laptop, but, like,
Yeah.
one laptop is facing the action, you know,
Yeah.
or facing their screen, like, we just co-op. We just, like,
Yeah.
hack into their stream, you know? Oh, I love it. Plus, I'm gonna need to go to the beach in April next year.
You're gonna need a what? So I couldn't hear you over the train here.
I'm gonna need to go to the beach by April next
That
year.
would be nice. I know this is hard, Tara, because there are so many events we wanna go to together, but we're not coming from one place, so it usually means going all the way across the country.
If
But
you
we'll add
wanna
it to.
sponsor Rachel to come to
Yeah,
West Coast again.
yeah. I'd love for you to come out to DC for an event. We'll make it
Yeah.
happen.
Well, for sure, for sure, for sure.
We've got time. We have years. We have years ahead of us.
I'd come out for Stonewall,
That would
I'd
be
do
awesome
Stonewall.
next year. So,
That's in June?
June is always the first weekend of June. Mhm.
Oh, right, the comedian Leslie Jones, Michael Tudloff is saying I remember this, Leslie Jones just co-opted it and did, comments and things on Twitter.
That's
He
right.
was hilarious,
We could
yeah,
do that as well.
we
Yeah.
could totally do that.
All right. Well, I think we should let everybody go. But thank you so much, everyone, for being with us and adding your comments. It's always awesome to see you and hear from you. And
Good luck tomorrow, Rachel. Go
thank
fast.
you so much. I will be checking back and letting you guys know. I said it. I will be letting everyone know how things go.
Oh, y'all.
All y'all.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one, everybody. Talk
High
to you
fives,
soon.
everybody.